Okay, buenos dias. I'm Paul Gleeson, Ireland's ambassador to Chile, Peru and Ecuador. And we're delighted to be celebrating St. Brigid's Day, which is beginning of February every year. And it's a time when our embassies and our consulates around the world celebrate the achievements of Irish women in a whole range of fields. And we're delighted this afternoon to be talking to someone who's had huge achievement in her field, her area of athletics. Gina Akpe-Moses burst to national and international attention with her gold medal performance at the European Under-20 Championships in Grosseto in Italy in July of 2017, Ireland's first ever European women's sprint title. Gina is also part of a really formidable senior Irish women's 4x100 metre relay team, which shattered our national record at the European Championships in Berlin in 2018, and which is hoping to qualify for this year's delayed Tokyo Olympics. So, Gina, thank you so much for joining us, and happy St. Brigid's Day.
Thanks for having me. Happy St. Brigid's Day to you too.
She apparently was born near Dundalk, St. Brigid. I'm not a huge oracle about her life, but she's born near Dundalk, so you've that in common in terms of your own experience with Dundalk as well. How can I start just asking you, how has your lockdown been? I mean, we think of sprinting as a solitary activity, racing up and down, but of course, with a bigger team involved and coaches and fitness teams and everything. So how has it been for you, this pandemic?
So since we are on our third lockdown here in the UK, so the first lockdown, I had access to a track, but it wasn't like, it was a drive away, like half an hour drive away. So like it was kind of hard for me to go back and forth all the time. So I was basically on the grass a lot of the time, doing some grass runs. I'm doing like jogs on the road. And then after the second lockdown, I actually had access to a track, so I was able to train because like in London. So I was training, everything's normal, but I was outside and it was just, it's not, I don't really like being outside. I'm more of a train indoors, keep myself nice and warm and call it a day. And now I'm back to being outside again because we're on our third lockdown, which is ridiculous. But yeah, it's been quite hard in terms of just like mentally being prepared to just go out and just face the harsh conditions, and just knowing that like keeping motivated and that I'm building for something like in the future. But you have to get it done, you know, that's the whole point of discipline. So I think it's definitely tested my boundaries and my commitment, but I feel like I'm coming out on the good end of it though. So yeah.
And in terms for you of kind of working with your coaches as well, or like, as I said, you're part of this brilliant relay team, the best relay team we've ever had. I mean, have you been ever able to work with your teammates as part of that, or is just all of that out the window? Is it everybody on their own at the moment?
Yeah, everyone's alone right now. I'm pretty sure the girls in Ireland have done like one session, I think. But for me, I haven't been able to fly over because of, you know, quarantine rules and all this kind of stuff. Like I was aiming to fly over this period, but I'd have to quarantine for like 10 days. That means I'm just there for 10 days. I can't train, I can't do anything. So but hopefully like in the next couple of weeks, or like maybe like by May or maybe even April, I might be able to fly out, do some sessions and kind of get everything going again. But yeah, we've all been alone right now, unfortunately.
Right, okay. And of course, all the uncertainty about Tokyo, I mean, in terms of the qualifying schedule, is there any degree of confirmation around that for you now in terms of the remaining qualifying events, or is a lot of that still up in the air as well?
Yeah, a lot of it is up in the air. I mean, because I need to qualify. If I want to qualify individually, I need to race to get the standard. And for that to happen, I need to get a race. And we don't know what races are going to be on around the summertime. I know indoors is not too bad because I am going to be racing next weekend. So I do have opportunities, but it's quite limited. That's all. So I do believe that I'll be able to, you know, achieve either the relay standard or the individual standard, maybe even both. But it's a case of I need to be given the chance to achieve it. So everything's up in the air, but I have high hopes that, like, you know, things will pan out the way they should pan out. I think I'm quite lucky because my coach and my agent, they're very on it. So they deal with anything races. They have to keep on tab with the news, with everything to do with track and field. So I don't really have any worries because I know that they are very committed to it. I just have to go to the track and get my sessions done and do what I need to do at home as well, extra bits and bobs, and be ready when I'm called to do a race.
Okay, well, we'll all be looking out for those and cheering on when the time comes.
Thank you.
It's such a huge thing, and I mean it's such success as well for that 4x100 meter team, and so many great. It's such a great generation of Irish women sprinters at the moment. It must be really exciting to be a part of that.
Yeah, everyone has been doing a lot of amazing things, and like, I'm very excited. It's very good to see such a big rise of the women kind of coming through, because I think at one point it was like all the men. I was like, oh, where's women power? So now we've just got women just doing the best they can do, and everyone's getting these amazing times, and it's great to see.
Brilliant, it is. As well as all the athletics, you're studying psychology at the University of East London as well, so incredibly busy. Did your interest in psychology come from the sport and psychology as a part of sports, or where did that come from originally for you?
I actually grew up watching a lot of psychological based films, like in TV shows. Like one of my favorite TV shows was Criminal Minds. Loved it. Like I was a typical 11, 12-year-old. After I'd watched some Tom and Jerry or something, I'd flip it to watch Criminal Minds after. Like that's what I would do on the weekend. So, and then obviously like being an athlete as well, like when I had my first injury, psychologically it was a bit of, I did have to go to a sports therapist to kind of like, talk, sports psychologist to kind of talk through the stages and how I'm gonna, mentally recover from having an injury, because I was quite scared to like, run again in that kind of sense, to run like with full strength and full pelt. So that kind of increased it as well. And then like other experiences with like friends and family, so they also kind of increased my interest in psychology. So I said, you know what, let me get into it, and I love it. I'm really excited until after my career after track and field to kind of get into the psychological world. So
it's fascinating, and it's might be solving as many crimes as well as elite athletes. You'll have a broad portfolio there. It's so interesting in sports because back 30 years ago, sports psychology would have been something, certainly in Ireland and Britain, that people would have been unsure about, wouldn't have rated. Whereas now you see so many athletes coming out saying about what an important part of it is, because at your level, the margins are so fine that, to get that little extra 2% or 5% can make a huge difference, presumably.
Exactly. Yes, I think every sport is a mental game. Everything in life is a mental game, because the mind holds so much power. And I think the faster people recognize it, the better it'll be for them to just kind of like deal with themselves, like finding out coping mechanisms, finding out ways that on race day, if they're nervous, what will help me not be nervous? What would give me, like, whether it's visualization or just like, having somebody talk to you on the phone or talking through your steps. It's just little tiny things that, can help anybody. So when to discover it, it's a whole new world.
And do you find studying it has changed your approach as an athlete as well? Like, I mean, to us, you're whizzing by in 11 point something seconds. It's hard to think that there could be a psychological element to that that's so important. But have you found it's influenced how you are as an athlete as well?
I think it's definitely helped me realize how to take care of myself off the track more than on the track, because like I'm somebody who when I start to race, I travel quite a lot, and I don't really realize whenever I feel stressed or anything. So like I think it's helped me realize, okay, here are some signs of me being stressed, and how can I decrease it so I can not increase my performance on the track. So I think it's something that I've definitely like used to pinpoint certain moments when I'm like, okay, this might affect me a little bit. Let me see what I can do to fix it, or to like decrease the outcome of me being affected on the track.
Yeah, that's great. Every advantage, as you say, and you won't be competing. Not most of your competitors will be studying a degree in psychology. So it's a great string to have to your bow. As well, Gina, I mean, you in the last few months have been one of the more articulate voices on social media about Black Lives Matter and all the attention that's come on that. Obviously, it stretches back to Colin Kaepernick and in the US, but particularly since the George Floyd murder. And, it's clearly something that has resonated in a big way with sports people across the UK, which is where you're based, more broadly across Europe. I mean, what is your view in terms of what we should be focusing on in Ireland when it comes to issues around racial equality to ensure that we're we're confronting these things head up and not just pushing them to the margins, which has sometimes been the way of doing things in our past, and we're very bad.
I think, like I said, kind of educating young children. I think it's also because I didn't learn anything about Black history when I was in school. I didn't learn any history about Black people. So I think it's also like making Black people aware of their own heritage and their own history, because I think it also kind of like helps them kind of like define and understand where they are, and like it gives them more of a more rooted kind of like, you know, lifestyle. But I think, yeah, definitely people being educated in schools, everybody understands, and like they can kind of like they learn to sympathize, and like it gives them a lot of awareness, because once that kind of kicks in, the rest is really for them to do. Do you know what I mean? I feel like once you educate somebody, like if they really, really care, they'll do some more research, they'll act accordingly. So that's just the first step. And then also I feel like it's definitely getting more Black people into higher places, more Black teachers, more Black judges, more Black police officers. I think representation also makes it a deal, because it's like if I see somebody that looks like me, I'll be more inclined to do that or to try to get into that field. So like I think it's just representation, education. Those are the two things that needs to be implemented the most.
I think that's a great point, because like if I think about what I studied in history in school, I don't know how much the curriculum had changed before you did it, but you know, it's very, Ireland had such a past where, you know, it was a very homogenous country. It wasn't a multicultural country in our past. And we're a very different country now, and that's great for us, and we take great pride in it. But our history curriculum may not have shifted to reflect that, or reflect all the themes that people should be learning about. So I think that's a great point. And as you say, it's something that it needs to be done. I mean, there's probably for some people, you know, racism in society is such a appalling and preposterous thing that you know, you almost don't want to alert. I know we've children ourselves. You don't want to alert children to something as stupid and harmful as that. But for a lot of people, it's not a choice to push it under the rug. It's a reality, and so everybody needs to be aware of it.
Exactly. Like, because people do experience it, and it's a shame that some people are just very ignorant to it. Like, there's definitely people that you meet who are just, they don't know what they're talking about, as in like they have no idea they're even being racist, like, because there's different types of like, you know, like microaggressions and just blatant like racism. So I think the more people know, the more they can subconsciously think about, oh, hold on a minute, I learned this in school, or my Black friend told me this, like, or I saw this on TV. Let me not say what I think what I'm gonna say. If you think it's something that's gonna be offensive, don't say it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's just stuff like that, just like just teaching yourself the little bits and bobs. So yeah.
Yeah, lots of good advice there. Can I bring you on to the gender equality stuff? Because I mean, St. Brigid's Day is about celebrating the achievements of Irish women, as I said. And I mean, it's probably fair to say that there has been an increased effort in recent years to promote and televise women's sports, and you know, to cover it generally by journalists and so forth. But it's also probably fair to say we haven't come as far as we need to come. So I mean, what's your sense of that? What the challenges are in Irish athletics, or in Irish sports generally, or indeed in Irish society, around getting to that place where we're in a better spot as regards gender equality?
I feel like gender equality in itself is just like a worldwide issue. Like in every society, every race, every ethnicity, there is like, you know, there's limitations for women, and I think it kind of stems from, you know, the old idealistic and like ideology of, you know, men are, you know, the stronger physically, they could be stronger than women. I understand that anatomy wise, you know, we're all built differently, but I think it's a case of just like we have to kind of come out of that mindset of like women being the weaker sex or the weaker, you know, gender, and it's a case of actually giving us the chance to speak out and to be in a place of power, and like, you know, also just kind of like not neglecting the things we say. So, and it's just definitely just respecting women in general, because I feel like even in women's sports, like people seem to overlook the performance but focus more on the actual look. So it's like if she's not attractive, no one's really going to be interested. You know what I mean? Like, people really, really undervalue how good the women are when it comes to different sports, and like the effort they put into just being at that level. So I think it's definitely trying to switch the mindset to, we're not just objects, we are humans too, and we deserve the same accolades as men do, because we all put in the same hours, work just as hard, and we deserve to just be there. Because even in terms of like I know there's definitely some athletes who get paid more than other athletes. Like, even I'll use Usain Bolt and Shelly-Ann Fraser, for example. They're both amazing track and field athletes, Jamaicans. But Usain Bolt, obviously he has won a good deal of titles, but so was Shelly-Ann, but she is overlooked because, maybe she's just, she's a woman. Maybe it might just be because, this is just the women's sports. Some female athletes, yeah, they're good, but like, you know what, like, let's just give Usain all the praise, because like, he's the only one that's worked hard. But really, it's like, they have definitely put in so much hours equally and worked hard to get what they've achieved. So I think it's also just kind of like appreciating both spectrums. It's not just one, but two of them, and just putting them together and making it work, making it make sense.
Absolutely. I mean, with such incredible Irish women sports people at the moment. I mean, Katie Taylor, obviously.
Exactly.
We saw the success of the Irish women's hockey team recently. Yourself and other Irish women sprinters. Obviously, Sonia O'Sullivan dominated Irish athletics. Women's
medal,
athlete, woman or man,
exactly,
for years. But it does, as you say, it's not just about coverage. It's about investing in all that as well, and these people lifted up and have the facilities they need, the equipment they need, and the investment in their performance that other countries as well.
Yeah, definitely. And just investing in the woman as the athlete, not just the woman because she's a woman, not because let's just tick a couple boxes and make sure they feel included. So like, it's actually just putting in the effort and saying, you know what, there's a talent there, we're going to invest in it. We don't care what gender the talent is, we're going to invest, and that's what it is.
Just finally then, Gina, before we let you go, I mean, what advice would you give to girls watching this here in South America, or indeed in Ireland, who might be looking at you and wanting to follow in those footsteps? I mean, I don't know what the best advice you were given, when you were younger was, but what advice would you give to girls hoping to emulate your successes in years to come?
What would I give them? I would let them know, honestly, that it's not easy to get to the top, or to get to anywhere that is of any ranking, that but if you really put in a lot of effort, and you put in the hard work, and you have a good support system, and you make sure that you do all the best that you can, success is not that hard to achieve. Like, it really isn't something that I would say is impossible, but like, you just have to make sure you want it. I feel like, make sure it's a passion, something that you choose to enjoy, not something that feels like a chore, because once it feels like a chore, then you don't want to work as hard for it. But once you enjoy it, working hard feels like you're just like enjoying yourself. Like, it's a nice little, passionate job, a day-to-day, like activity. So yeah, that's what I would say. Oh, and don't let people tell you otherwise or put you down. Don't let people's words stay away from what you want to do, because words, they don't hold any weight.
Absolutely. It's a slog, as you say, but if you have the passion for it, that makes it so much easier, I'm sure.
So much easier, yeah, definitely.
It won't be for everyone. My 4-year-old daughter was boasting to me last week about how fast she is, and I said, hang on, I'll show you now. Someone who's really fast, who I'm going to talk to next week. And she watched you sprinting and winning gold in 11 point something seconds, and after that she went very quiet. I'm not sure if she's confident in her own speed after she saw that. But training, that's where you get there.
Yeah.
Gina, listen, thank you so much. We're so grateful for your time. We know how busy you are. And just, we'll all have fingers crossed for you in the next few months for the Tokyo qualifying, and wishing you all the very best. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.